Question 3. We want to solve a log problem here. First of all, identify the power. Logs are powers, so the power of this one is 8. And we see the base is 4. So what you have is 4 to the power of 8 equals x. Use your calculator to do the rest, and you're well on your way to achieve. For this one, here we are going to factorize the x cubed out of there. We often need to factorize before we solve. So we have two parts there. You need to recognize the difference of two squares, and this comes up frequently. So here we have x minus 2 and x plus 2 for the brackets. Then solve, there are going to be three answers. X can either be 0, 2 or negative 2. Here's a merit question. For this one here, remember we're going to apply the negative power rule, so that when you have x to the negative 2, it's 1 over x squared. So bring that x plus 3 down to a denominator, and that negative 1 disappears and becomes positive 1. So we have x squared minus 9 at the top, and this one here becomes x plus 3. Now we need to factorize before we simplify. We can only cancel factors. Again, you've got the difference of two squares, as is in the first or second question, and then you can cancel out your x plus 3. That gives you x minus 3 for your answer. Here we want to simplify, so there's only one denominator. So what we need to do for this is we have to get a common denominator. I'm going to factorize it first, take out 2 to make it x minus 3, x plus 3. Now we multiply the left by x plus 3 and the right by x minus 3. So we have our common denominator, which is shown at the top, and x plus 3 over x plus 3 is 1, so is x minus 3 over x minus 3, that's also 1. So we're not changing the value, we're just using that to multiply to get a common denominator. Now, the denominator is the same, so what we do is we work out our numerator. X plus 3 times x plus 3 is squared, and same for the x minus 3. Expand those out. So if we were to expand that out, we'd have 2 of those, and then we would use FOIL. Be careful with the negative. I've got the second one in brackets because we're taking away the whole thing. That's where a lot of people make mistakes. So you've got x squared minus x squared is nothing. 6x minus negative 6x is 12x. And the 9's cancel out. So you can divide 2 into 12 to give you 6x. That's relational thinking. Here we want a parabolic path. It goes to a height of 72. And we want to find it lands 12 meters away. So we're going to put some axes in there at 0 and 12. The highest position then is at 6 meters. So we can find our parabola by going y equals a squared, x minus 6 squared plus 72. We then put the point 12, 0, or you could have used the point 0, 0 to work out what a is. So putting 12, 0 in there, we find that a is negative 2. So now we have the equation of the parabola. At what point is it 36 meters high? Substitute y for 36, and then we subtract off the 72 to the other side, divide by negative 2, finally square root, and you get your answers. 10.24 and 1.76. What you could have done once you had the parabola equation, you could have put it in your calculator, expanded it out, or used the solve or the graph mode. Here we're going to solve. We have powers here. Notice that when we have the same base, we can add the powers. Now the one on the left doesn't have the same base. One is base 2, one is base 4. But we know that 4 is 2 squared, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that 4 to 2 squared. That gives me 2 to the 3y times 2 squared to the 3 minus y. Now I can join my powers together, and I can find that the power is y plus 6. When we're solving for powers, we take the log of both sides. So bring the log take the log of both sides, bring the y plus 6 out the front, divide by log of 2, finally take off the 6, and you have your answer. And you can check that in the original equation. That's question 3. Here we go for checking, and when I checked it, I found it equaled 4.905. Close enough.